Hello everyone. In this tutorial we're going to take a look at the Ampacity module from Electrical Calculator, an Android app. This is the Android version. We also have an iOS version, but today we'll be looking at the Android version. So let's get right into it. So the first thing we're going to do before we go into the Ampacity module is we're going to go into the job module and we're going to create a job. That way our Ampacity calculation will be under that job. So go ahead and click on the yellow hard hat. That brings us into our jobs module. I already have a bunch of jobs created here, but if you just got the app, it'll probably just have a single default job at the top. So let's go ahead and create a job. And we'll call this one Beaver Creek Limited. And we'll hit OK, and that'll create a job. Now within this job module, it's pretty simple. This is all your job listings, and all your calculations you do under a job will be saved under that job. You can delete a job with a trash can, just like this. And you can select a job with the arrow on the left, to the left of each job. So let's go ahead and select our Beaver Creek job and back out of there. Bring us back to our main menu. And now we'll go to the wire section and we'll go to Ampacity. So now we're in our allowable Ampacity calculator. Now what we can do is we can go into our allowable Ampacity list, where it will allow us to do multiple calculations under the job Beaver Creek. You'll see that our selected job is shown in the title bar here to let us know we're working under the right job, Beaver Creek Limited. So now to get into your allowable Ampacity list, you click either on the icon here or the allowable Ampacity header. So let's go ahead and go into that. And here's a list of amperage calculations underneath the job Beaver Creek. So again, just like the job module, you can hit the plus button to create more. And what it does is it actually creates a duplicate of whatever one is selected. And you can select through your calculations with the arrow on the left of each, and the trash can will allow you to delete calculations. Okay, so let's go ahead and select our main feeder and back out. And now you'll see the job selected as Beaver Creek Limited and the calculation selected as main feeder. So let's go ahead and get started. So there's two ways to use this module. You can solve with amperage, which means you will provide an amperage and the app will calculate an appropriate wire size, or you can solve by wire size, in which case you will provide a wire size below here and the app will give you the allowable ampacity of that wire size. So let's go ahead and do a calculation based on that, and let's say we're putting a bunch of number 10s in a conduit. So we'll hit number 10, AWG. And we'll scroll down to our next section. So our next section is wire type. This is going to affect our allowable ampacity. And you're going to want to make sure you have these selected right. So first is your wire type, which is your temperature rating of your wire. And you can choose between all the ones available in your code book. So for this example, we're going to go to a 90 degrees C. Say we're using a T90. And then you have to choose your metal type between copper and aluminum. So we're going to go with copper. So we'll say a copper 90 degrees C wire. Your last section before you can go to your results tab is for correction factors. So your first one is ambient temperature. So this is the ambient temperature, expected ambient temperature of your environment. And you can choose between all the selections that are available in your code book. Typically we're going to be at our 30 degrees C or less, so we're going to go ahead and select that. Now your method. So your method's either going to be in conduit or free air. I don't think people typically free air number 10s, so we'll go in conduit. But as you can see, if you open this up, you also have a free air method available. And then we're going to go number of conductors, which also will affect our correction factor, of course. So if you select that, you'll see the same numbers that are from your code book. And for this example, let's go to, let's say we're running, I don't know, 12 number 10s, so we'll go 7 to 24. And at the bottom of all your pages, you'll notice a code reference. This just gives a reference to your code book on where this data is all coming from. So now we have everything set up. We're going to go ahead and click on our results tab. And everything in here is in green mostly, and this indicates a result. So you can click on it all you want, but it's a result, so you can't directly modify these numbers. This is showing our temperature correction factor, which is 1.0 since we had selected 30 degrees C or less. If your ambient temperature is above that, this is going to be a lower number, which will affect your total correction factor. Our number of conductors, that was the 7 to 24, I believe, that we selected in our list. So now instead of a 1.0, we have to derate because of the number of wires we have in the pipe, and it's derating to 0.7, 70%. And then our total deration is just the product of our temperature and our number of conductors. So these are being multiplied together and giving us our total derating. Now, since our temperature is 1.0, this is staying with the same as number of conductors, 0.7. So our total deration is going to be 70%. And then below that, you have the option of actually using the correction factor or not. We'll cycle through that in a minute once I show you the results. But right now, we're going to apply our 70% correction factor. So now your final result is down here in the allowable ampacity section. We have a small grid. The green number and the column and row according to that is the suggested result. So our number 10 wire, which we selected, is of course selected and 90 degree, and it's giving us 28 amps. It's also going to give in the gray areas the closest approximate values for other temperatures and our other wire sizes, just for reference. But your actual result is in the center. And now you'll see if we take off our correction factor, that'll bump up to 40 amps. So our number 10 90 degree wire is actually good for 40 amps. But once we've corrected it, it goes down to 28 amps. And just for the heck of it, we'll go back to specs and let's go to an amperage calculation. And let's do a 200 amp. Say a 200 amp service we're calculating for, and in this case we're going to go on conduit still, but we'll go 1 to 3. Well, actually, let's leave that up so it's derating, and we'll also change our ambient temperature to say 50 degree, just so we can see our derating factors in action here. So let's go back over to results. So now we have a 0.8 correction factor on our temperature and a 0.8 correction factor on our number of conductors, which for a total correction factor of 0.6 or 60%. So now you'll see our suggested wire size at 209.9 amps is 300 MCM, 90 degree. Now if we turn off our correction factor, we should go down to 3/0, which is our typical 200 amp wire, which is actually rated for 225 amp. But with our correction factors, we have to bump our wire size all the way up to 300 MCM. And that's it in a nutshell. So once you have a result, there's quite a bit you can do with it. You of course it's saved in here under this job, so you can view it anytime within the app. But if you go up to this menu here and you click on it, there's quite a few things you can do with it as well. So the first we'll go through these one at a time. The first option is email. What this is going to do is it's going to take your selected calculation, just your selected calculation, and it's going to put it into an email. It's going to open your default email composer, and it's going to put all those results into an email format. So you can email that off to someone, or back to the shop, or if you're in the shop, back to the field, or whatever you want to do with it. The next one is going to do multiple calculations. So what this is going to do is it's going to save all your calculations under Beaver Creek. So whether you have 30, 40, 50 calculations, whatever, it's going to take them all and it's going to put them into a spreadsheet file known as a CSV file, a comma separated value file. And this will allow you to open it up in any spreadsheet and edit it, format it, save it, whatever you want to do. And it's going to attach to an email. So it's going to save it into this CSV, attach it to an email, open your email composer, and you can email this off to whoever you like. Next in our menu here, our main menu, is a help option. What this does is it opens a PDF user manual, an online PDF user manual. So it's the written manual to this tutorial pretty much. Print is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to take the selected, just so a single one, the selected calculation, and it's going to attempt to print it. It's going to open your print dialog. If you don't have a functioning printer, it's going to just allow you to print it to PDF. However, if you do have functioning printer software or a compatible printer, it will allow you to send it right to your printer as well. Recalculate is going to just do a recalculation. This is not so important in this module. In other modules it is, where you're able to modify results and then the recalculate will recalculate. In this one you probably won't be using it much, but what it's going to do is just it's going to run the calculation function of the app and recalculate your results. Reset is a little more destructive. It's going to take the selected ampacity calculation. It's going to reset everything to default values So anything you've changed will change back to default, and it'll also do a recalculation once it sets everything to default. Video tutorial, well, that's the one you're watching right now. That'll send you to your to our YouTube video tutorial for this app, which you're watching. And cancel, of course, will cancel you back out of this menu. So there you go. That's everything you can do with the Ampacity Calculator. I hope it saves you tons of time, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, be sure to drop us a review or send us an email and let us know. Until next time.